If you're a fan of sharp, no-holds-barred black comedy, the kind that makes you laugh and wince, you already know Katt Williams is one of the most fearless voices to ever step foot in Hollywood. But this time, Katt wasn't on stage to tell jokes. He appeared on the Club Shay Shay podcast with Shannon Sharpe not to entertain, but to expose a powerful system that he says is manipulating the entire entertainment industry. Right from the jump, Katt dropped a bombshell. Harvey
Weinstein turned down $50 million. Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right.
This judge is throwing out 1 count of sexual battery by restraint against Harvey Weinstein. I mean, that effectively reduces his 11-count sex crime indictment that he's facing here in the city of Los Angeles to a 10-count indictment.
Harvey Weinstein, the disgraced Hollywood mogul known for dozens of abuse scandals, had once offered him $50 million to do something unthinkable. And the craziest part? The offer was made in front of Katt's own agent. No secrecy, no shame. Katt never revealed exactly what was asked of him, but the look in his eyes during that moment said more than words ever could. With chilling finality, he said, "I'm not selling my soul, dog." Maybe that's why Katt never got his own Netflix special, despite being one of the most popular stand-up comedians of his time. In that same interview, he didn't hold back, name-dropping power players like Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, and Cedric the Entertainer, men he described not as leaders, but as safe faces handpicked by Hollywood to maintain control. With a mix of biting sarcasm and cold truth, Katt laid it out. These people aren't powerful. They're useful. At that point, it became clear, this wasn't just another comic ranting. Katt had become a storyteller on a mission, to stand up for real talent being crushed simply because they refused to play by the rules. Terrence Howard.
You don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy.
Howard. Most people remember him as Lucius Lyon, the cold, commanding kingpin from the hit series Empire. But behind the spotlight, behind the smooth voice and the suits, lies a story that few know. A story so wild it sounds like fiction. Terrence didn't just show up on the PBD podcast to talk about acting gigs or his time on set. No, he dropped a truth bomb that shocked everyone. He created an entirely new branch of mathematics. A coding system, a model that, according to him, could revolutionize the way we understand the universe. And he didn't stop there. He said he filed for a patent. With his name, his data, his math. Real documents. Real applications. But what happened next? He claims that tech giants like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Sony began using his formula without giving him a single dollar. Sounds far-fetched, right? That's what everyone thought. Until he pulled out the actual patent records. Names. Numbers. Receipts. And when Shannon Sharpe asked Katt Williams about it, Katt didn't hesitate. He just nodded. Yeah, they stole it. They knew who he was. After Empire, Terrence quietly vanished from Hollywood's radar. No more lead roles. No more big contracts. The media spun their favorite narrative. He's difficult to work with. He's delusional. He's unstable. But what if that wasn't the truth? What if Hollywood didn't push him out because he was problematic, but because he knew too much? There's even a behind-the-scenes rumor. At one point, Terrence was working on a documentary about his mathematical theories. Out of nowhere, the project was pulled. Investors backed out. The entire production evaporated overnight. Oddly enough, later that same year, a major tech firm announced a new algorithm that sounded suspiciously familiar. In an interview, Terrence once sighed and said, "Hollywood doesn't want smart people. They want obedient ones." And maybe, just maybe, that's the coldest truth you'll hear all day. So, what do you really know about Kevin Hart? He's everywhere. Hollywood blockbusters, talk shows, stand-up specials, family-friendly, brand-safe, marketable to every age group. But in Katt Williams' eyes, Kevin Hart isn't a story of hard-fought success. He's a product, a made man, An industry plant, built by Hollywood itself. In that explosive Club Shay Shay interview, Katt didn't hold back. He said it flat out. Have you ever seen a sold-out Kevin Hart show? A real one. People lining up around the block, scalping tickets outside? 'Cause I haven't. It was like a slap in the face to the carefully manicured image Kevin's built over the years. And Katt wasn't done. He went on. Dude had his own sitcom in his first year in LA. That's not natural. That's a setup. Katt was calling it what it was. A fast-tracked career, manufactured buzz, and a platform that most comics grind decades for. Handed to Kevin overnight. Then came the part that stirred deep controversy, especially within the black comedy community. Kevin Hart wearing a dress on Saturday Night Live. While some saw it as harmless comedy, others, like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, called it out. They saw it as part of a disturbing trend in Hollywood. Emasculating black men in the name of entertainment. A biting anecdote from the comedy world. When Kevin Hart stepped on stage to accept an award, someone backstage whispered, he just won the comedy Oscar, handed to him by the same people who built him. To be fair, Kevin is talented. No one denies that. But according to Katt, that talent didn't rise through the ranks. It was groomed, packaged, and shipped to market. He didn't climb the ladder. He took the VIP elevator. And for someone like Katt, who dragged himself up every step, shoes torn, reputation bruised, that's not just unfair. It's the real punchline no one's laughing at. Hollywood. It shines like diamonds, but some of its darkest secrets only come to light when insiders finally speak up. One of the most chilling accounts came from none other than Terrence Howard, the man who once ruled primetime TV as Lucius Lyon in Empire. But what he revealed had nothing to do with scripts or sound stages, and everything to do with power, control, and fear. Terrence recalled a night he was invited to the private home of Sean Diddy Combs, the legendary music mogul and entertainment tycoon. No scene. Just an invitation. And an unsettling vibe. Puffy just stared at me. No words. No crew. I started to feel uncomfortable. Then came the twist. Terrence's longtime assistant leaned in and quietly whispered, "He's trying to set you up." That was enough. Terrence left the party, and not long after, seemed to leave Hollywood altogether. Rumors of these kinds of elite parties have swirled around the industry for years. Parties where the real invitation isn't what's written, it's what's expected. Where cameras might be hidden behind the artwork. Where a simple no could cost you a role. Or your entire career. Katt Williams pulled no punches on this topic either. If you refuse a kiss, you lose the contract. Refuse to wear a dress, you lose your spot. It's not just about roles. It's not just about money. According to Katt and Terrence, the true cost of staying in the Hollywood game is your self-respect, your identity, maybe even your manhood. At this point in the story, it's hard for the audience not to pause and wonder, are the flashing lights on Oscar night really worth what happens when the cameras are off? Because once you trade your principles for a paycheck, what are you really performing for? If Kevin Hart is the poster child for a Hollywood-built comic, then Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer are seen as the lovable, old-school father figures of black entertainment. Wholesome. Approachable. But according to Katt Williams, that image was borrowed, if not stolen, straight from someone else's playbook. In his no-holds-barred interview, Katt accused Steve Harvey of ripping off the entire concept of the sitcom, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Same setup. Same quirky school setting. Same flashy suits. Even the theme music, uncannily similar. And that backstory about Steve sleeping in his car to make it? That's a made-up sob story to sell books, Katt sneered. Then came Cedric.
We found out he can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. The world doesn't think that, sir, I have 12 comedy specials. He has 4 specials that are not available on Netflix or Tubi.
Cedric. According to Katt, Cedric straight up jacked one of Katt's legendary jokes, first performed on Comic View, and passed it off as his own that same year. Now, stealing jokes in the comedy world isn't new. But here's the twist. Cedric went on to be honored and elevated to legend status. All based on material that wasn't even his. There's even a behind-the-scenes rumor. Netflix reportedly rejected 4 Cedric comedy specials. Not because they were offensive, but because they just weren't strong enough. No unique voice. And to this day, not a single one has seen the light of day. Not even on free platforms like Tubi. Katt mocked the silence. 4 comedy specials. And not a single one on Netflix or YouTube Premium. Weird, right? But this isn't just about stolen jokes or TV formats. It's about the deep frustration of a real artist watching others climb the mountain using ladders built on borrowed effort. When your art is your blood, sweat, and soul, watching someone else wear your crown hurts in ways no punchline ever could. When Katt Williams speaks, people laugh. When Terrence Howard talks, people tilt their heads. But when they start telling the truth about Hollywood, they're called dangerous, rebellious, unhinged, even delusional. So now it's your turn to decide. Is Katt Williams a woke genius? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because truth only exists if someone's brave enough to say it, and someone else is willing to hear it.